Now, from CBS 4 News, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Good morning, I'm Jim DeFede, and welcome to Facing South Florida. We have a lot to get to this morning, starting with the Democratic primary race in Congressional District 27 for the seat currently held by Ileana Ros-Lehtinen. It has become a nasty affair. Donna Shalala is the frontrunner, but State Representative DeFede Richardson is out this week with a pair of hard-hitting ads attacking Shalala. Here's a sample.
DeFede Richardson, the one progressive with the courage to fight for Medicare for all. Clear stands, never backs down. But Donna Shalala joined a health insurance board, made millions. Then this.
Please welcome Donna Shalala.
But I do know a lot about health care.
You're not one of those universal health care people, are you?
No, actually I'm not. No, actually I'm not.
Dollars for Donna, nothing for us.
Joining us now to discuss the race and his campaign is State Representative DeFede Richardson. Thank you very much for coming in. All right, so let's start with that ad. So is this the tone? Is it going to be a negative campaign on your part against Shalala?
First of all, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I will tell you that it's going to be a campaign where we're going to contrast my record as a progressive Democrat for the last 6 years in Tallahassee against Donna Shalala, who has sold out the Democratic Party and has sold out for for-profit health care. So yeah, it's going to be a campaign where I'm going to be talking about my record and I'm going to be talking about her record.
But that's more than just talking about your record. I mean, that's a bit of a nasty ad, don't you think?
Well, as I said, I'm going to be talking about my record and I'm going to be talking about her record. And that ad talks about my record and it talks the truth about her record.
So we actually contacted the Shalala campaign, wanted to know how they would respond to your ad, and they sent us this statement. Throughout her life and career, Donna Shalala has advocated and delivered on expanding access to affordable health care for millions of Americans, including the 9 million children currently covered by the Children's Health Insurance Program, which she implemented as the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services. In Congress, she will fight to deliver universal access to affordable health care for all. Do you think that she won't do that if she's elected to Congress?
Well, it's so interesting, those words that she's using, right? Universal access to health care. You know, I'm calling for Medicare for all, and I did that on day one of the campaign and filed a bill in Tallahassee this last session after studying the issue. So I have demonstrated my bona fides. She's using very clever words there. So, you know, if in the debate last Saturday, they asked that as a lightning round question, and she held up a yes, saying that she would support it, and even told me when I called her on it that it was on her website. And when I went home that afternoon, it wasn't on her website.
So I just want to be clear, because you know, the healthcare debate can be very confusing sometimes. Universal access versus Medicare for all. Define for me what you mean by Medicare for all.
So a Medicare for all program would provide health care for every U.S. citizen free for their purposes. So access is when you say, well, I think you ought to be able to buy health insurance.
But who would provide the insurance?
Well, just right now we have Medicare for seniors, right? So I don't want to change that program. What I would like to do is see another program you can call Medicare Y or X or Z, and I want to have that program, but I want to make some changes to both programs to provide enhanced benefits. But I want to be able to provide that so that every citizen in the U.S., as in every other industrialized country, has that.
Let me just ask you this. So I work here at CBS. CBS provides me health insurance through my employer. Most people actually get health insurance through their employer. Would I lose? Are you saying that the system that you would advocate would mean that I would no longer have my health care coverage through my employer, that I would have it through Medicare? Is that the system you're advocating?
So first of all, I would say it's not my system, because there is a bill in Congress right now that Keith Ellison is holding in the House, and Bernie Sanders has it in the Senate. More than 120 members have signed on to it. So that's the bill I'm talking about. I would sign on to it day one when I'm sworn in.
But do I lose? In other words, are you looking to transfer individuals from their current employer-based health insurance to Medicare?
So yes, what I would
Yes.
What I would say, to be clear, is that every citizen then would have access through Medicare for All, and that would include employers would no longer be required to negotiate with for-profit health insurance providers, and so you would get your health care through that Medicare for All program that would be run by the federal government.
Don't you think a lot of people are happy with the insurance that they get through their employer and are uncertain of the unknown of what would happen if you suddenly allow employers to drop in coverage and have the government pick it up?
And you know what? There are a lot of unhappy people now that have no insurance coverage that will be covered. So I want universal health care for every citizen in the United States, and I want it through Medicare for All. I'm not using fancy words like access so that you get to go buy. I want everyone in this country to be covered with health care.
So let's move on. I know health care is an important issue for you. What's the other important issue for you in this race?
Well, obviously, Trump has done a lot of damage, and so someone like myself with an accounting background, a forensic audit background, needs to get to Washington, D.C. and give this man the audit that he hasn't had before. So that's a very important topic. Obviously, in District 27, immigration is an important issue. There aren't a lot of
CPAs in Congress, for instance.
There are only less than 2 handfuls. I'm told that there are 10, and a couple are retiring. And so the CPA, the American Institute of CPAs, you might imagine, are very supportive of me and would like to see me get there.
And that's a selling point, is the idea of actually having someone who understands that process to be able to look at it, as you did in the state, looking at the Department of Corrections.
That's right. I was a forensic auditor for 30 years. I know how to roll up my sleeves. I know how to dig through a budget. I got to Tallahassee, never studied the budget before, but I think it's fair to say that I can read that budget as quickly or quicker than almost anyone there.
We don't have a lot of time. I just want to be clear, because I believe I know your position. You support impeachment of President Trump. Is that correct?
I do. I believe he and anyone else that is guilty of wrongdoing should be held accountable.
And let's talk about guns, the NRA and what happened in Parkland. What are your positions as it relates to gun violence and what we need to be doing with regard to gun laws?
So I am fully supportive of banning assault weapons in this country. I co-sponsored the bill in Tallahassee this year. I believe we need to limit these high-capacity magazines. I have co-sponsored that bill. I believe that we need to have universal background checks. As you may know, I filed the bill this year to ban bump stocks, and when it wasn't heard, but when they took up the omnibus bill, my bill, I worked for 2.5 weeks to encourage the Republicans to include that in the bill, and it was finally included. I had to go and lobby the governor to get on that position, and so today bump stocks are banned in the state of Florida.
I want to circle back around to Shalala. You said that she's sold out. Is she unfit to serve in Congress, do you believe?
Well, I think this election is going to be not just about electing a Democrat, but the right Democrat. And I have 6 years of history. People can look at my record very, very clearly. What is most surprising about her is she's trying to flip-flop on these issues. Health care, you saw a month ago, and maybe you didn't see it, Jim, that for 25 years she was against the legalization of marijuana, and now suddenly she wants to be a champion. And so that's a flip-flop.
Is she unfit, though, to serve in Congress?
I'm not going to use that word. I'm saying she is a phony progressive Democrat that she now claims to be.
If she gets the nomination, will you support her?
I have said before, I'm going to support the nominee.
David Richardson, thank you very much. We'll talk more as sure as this campaign gets going. It's going to be an interesting race. I don't think anyone should assume what the outcome is going to be in this race.
That's exactly right.
All right.
Thank you,
David
Jim.
Richardson, thank you. All right, up next, we look at why cuts to the State Department of Corrections is hurting the very people they're trying to serve, and more importantly, the taxpayers.